You were never hard to fit. You were easy to overcharge. The big and tall aisle knows you have nowhere else to go, so it charges more and gives you less. DXL is the biggest name in it, where longtime buyers say you pay 4 times the price for Target-grade clothing. 6 big and tall brands to stop buying, and 3 that are the smart money. You know the moments. The sleeve that stops at your forearm. The shirt that untucks itself the second you reach for a shelf. The shoulder seam that sits halfway down your arm because the pattern was never drawn for your shoulder. $80 for a shirt that's 25 in a so-called normal size. For 30 years, the fitting room made you feel like the problem. You weren't. The garment was. Number 1. DXL Destination XL. Let me give it the credit it's owed first, because this is a funeral, not a cheap shot. For decades, DXL and its casual male stores were the only place many men could get dressed at all. When every other rack stopped at XL, DXL kept going. Before the internet, before any of this, it was a store where a man could walk in and find a suit that fit him. That mattered, and I won't pretend otherwise. But here is what it became. Around 296 stores, the biggest big and tall retailer in the country, and longtime buyers described the house label clothing as Target grade at roughly 4 times the price. Now look at the numbers, because they tell you where this is heading. DXL posted a fourth quarter net loss of $29.6 million. Sales fell 6% for the quarter. And here's the part that should concern you most as a customer. Private label merchandise, DXL's own house brands, climbed from 57% of sales towards 65%. More house brand goods, fatter margins, aimed squarely at a customer the company knows can't shop anywhere else. When a retailer is bleeding money and leaning harder on its own labels, history says one thing: the product gets cheaper before the price tag ever does. That's not cynicism. It's the pattern in every retail turnaround. Cut the cloth weight, move the sourcing, trim the stitch count. The customer notices in 18 months, and by then, the quarter looked fine. You're the captive market, and the captive market always pays. Let me show you who's been charging you for it and who finally did the work, and understand the economics without any conspiracy involved. When a company knows its customer has no second option, discipline on price and quality stops being necessary. Competition is what forces a retailer to earn you. Take the competition away, and what's left is a company that only has to be tolerable. The size was never the problem. The pattern was, and the price. The next name looks like a competitor. It nearly became DXL itself. One quick thing, and it's the one you've been asking for. You wanted the whole method in one place. Well, here it is. My new guide: build a $2,000 wardrobe for $200. Every rule from this channel: no logos, no fluff. The link is below. Go build it. Number 2. King size. Here's the insider story most men never heard, and it's a window into how this whole aisle thinks. King size is a big and tall label owned by full beauty brands. On its own, it's the budget basics trap. Buyers consistently report the quality shows thin fabric and construction that doesn't hold up past a season of real wear. But watch what almost happened. In December of 2025, DXL Group and Full Beauty announced a merger of equals. Combined annual sales around $1.2 billion, 296 stores between them. The two biggest forces in big and tall, planning to become one company. Think about what that means for a captive customer. Less competition, fewer independent choices, one giant deciding what you can buy. Now, in fairness and for accuracy, that merger fell apart. In June of 2026, DXL's board reevaluated the deal and walked away, citing the increasingly challenging consumer environment and Full Beauty's debt load. So it did not happen. King size stays a separate company today, but sit with the fact that the two dominant names in the only aisle you can shop sat down to combine. They see one shrinking market and one trapped customer. That's the mindset behind the price on the tag. And note who would have run it. Under the announced terms, Full Beauty shareholders would have held 55% of the combined company, DXL's 45%. The big and tall men's specialist would not even have been the senior partner in its own aisle. And the clothes themselves remain what they are: cheap basics, and you can feel it in the cloth the first time you wash one. Thin cotton that goes limp, seams that pucker. The price is low, and so is everything else. The next one isn't a separate company at all. Number 3. Casual Male XL. Here's the comparison that ends the illusion of choice. You walk the big and tall aisle, or you browse online, and you see DXL over here and Casual Male XL over there, and it feels like two options. It isn't. Casual Male XL is DXL Group's own second nameplate. Same company, different sign over the door. This is verified ownership, not a rumor. DXL Group operates both the DXL and the Casual Male XL banners. So, when you're weighing one against the other, you are shopping two storefronts owned by the same corporation, stocked heavily with the same climbing share of house brand goods. That's the trick of a consolidated market. It dresses one owner up as a marketplace. Two logos, two websites, two sets of store signage, one boardroom deciding what fabric weight is acceptable, what the markup will be, and how much of the floor goes to house brands this year. Shopping around inside that is not shopping around. Now, I'll be precise, because this audience checks everything. I am not telling you every casual male garment is a copy of a DXL garment. I'm telling you the ownership is the same, the private label strategy is the same, the pricing pressure is the same. The choice between them is mostly a matter of which logo is on the bag. When one company controls that much of the only aisle you can shop, the competition that's supposed to protect your wallet simply isn't there. The man who reads the ownership, not the storefront, sees one company wearing two hats. The next trap fails tall men and big men in completely opposite ways. Number 4, mainstream extended sizes. Old Navy, H&M, Amazon Essentials. So let me ask the question that unlocks this whole video. What is an extended size, really? Because it sounds like the brand designed something for you. It didn't. An extended size is almost always the standard pattern. Scaled up, they take the medium block and blow up every dimension at once. More width, more girth, and the proportions go to pieces. And this is where the heart of it lives. Big is not tall. They are two different bodies, and the scaled up pattern fails them in opposite directions. A tall man needs length, longer sleeve, longer torso, more rise and inseam. The scaled up shirt gives him width he never asked for, and the sleeves still die at his forearm. A big man needs width through the chest and midsection. The scaled up shirt hands him sleeves that swallow his hands and a collar gone too wide. Both men get the same tent. One drowns in fabric he doesn't need. The other is still reaching for length that isn't there. And the industry calls that a solution and prices it at a premium. Watch what actually goes wrong on the body. The shoulder seam slides down the arm because no one moved it to where your shoulder is. The armhole gapes and binds at the same time, in different places. The torso is still too short, so the shirt climbs out of your waistband when you raise your arm. Real pattern work moves that shoulder seam, resizes the armhole, and lengthens the torso. It costs a brand real money. A separate block, separate grading, separate sample rounds, a pattern maker who actually studied the body. Scaled up sizing costs almost nothing. It's one line in a spreadsheet, multiply every measurement by a factor, and ship it. Scaled up sizing does none of it. It's the cheapest possible answer to a problem that needs actual engineering. The size was never the problem. The pattern was. The next one charges you extra for the exact same failure. Number 5. Designer big and tall lines. Polo, Nautica, Tommy in the big and tall aisle. The verdict here is simple, and it's the most expensive mistake on the list. This is the logo tax, stacked right on top of the size tax. 2 premiums, 1 shirt. Here's how it works. You pay the designer premium for the name on the chest. That's the first tax you'd pay in any size. Then you pay the big and tall upcharge on top, because that shirt in an extended size routinely costs more than the very same shirt in a standard size. And what do you actually get for both premiums? At best, the same fabric as the regular line, in a pattern that's frequently just their standard block extended. The identical scaled-up problem we just covered, now with a horse or a flag on it. You are paying a designer markup and a size markup for pattern work that often wasn't done. The logo does not move the shoulder seam. The logo does not lengthen your torso, so the shirt stays tucked. The logo does nothing your body can feel. Ask yourself the honest question at the register. What did the extra $60 buy? Not fabric. It's the same cotton. Not construction. It's the same seams. Not pattern work. It's the same extended block. You bought the word on the chest twice, once for the name and once for the size. It's the purest version of paying more for a name while the fit stays exactly as wrong as the cheap version. The man who reads the pattern knows a logo can't sew. One more trap, and it's the disposable one. Number 6. Fast fashion and no-name Amazon. The 3XL through 8XL listings. Here's the spec shock. You'll find shirts listed all the way up to 8XL for $10 or $15, and it feels like the market finally opened up. It didn't. This is disposable clothing with no engineering behind it at all. Thin jersey that goes see-through in a wash or two. Unfinished seams that fray and roll. And the worst part, for a big or tall man specifically, the sizing means nothing from one listing to the next. A 4XL from one seller is a 2XL from another, and a 6XL from a third, because there's no standard, no house block, no pattern discipline whatsoever. You order your size, you gamble, you return it, you gamble again. That's not a shopping experience. That's a slot machine with shipping labels. And every one of those returns quietly teaches a man to expect failure from clothing, which is exactly the resignation this whole aisle was built on. There is zero proportional work here, no moved shoulder seam, no lengthened torso, no sleeve engineered to still reach your wrist after washing. It's cheap once and cheap forever, because you buy it again in 3 months when it falls apart. For a man who's been failed by the expensive end of this aisle, the cheap end is not the escape it looks like. Expensive garbage and cheap garbage share the same root. Nobody drew a pattern for your body. Only the speed of the disappointment changes. Now, here's who actually did the work. First, Duluth Trading Company. The verdict up front? This is the honest one, and it says out loud what every other brand hides. Duluth states plainly that it does not water down the specs at bigger sizes. Same fabrics, same reinforced heavy-duty stitching right up through the size range. That single promise is rarer than it should be, because the honest test of any big and tall brand is exactly this. Does the 4XL use the same fabric weight and construction as the medium, or does it get thinner and weaker where you can't see it? Most brands go quiet on that question because the answer embarrasses them. A thinner jersey at 4XL saves pennies per unit across millions of units, and nobody ever writes it on the tag. Duluth answers it out loud in public, where you can hold them to it. That willingness to be held to it is worth more than any marketing claim on this list. A company that publishes a standard has to meet it, and it does the pattern work. The long-tail t-shirt adds real body length, around 3 inches over an ordinary tee, so the shirt actually stays tucked when you reach. In heavy cotton, built not to fade or shrink, roughly $17 to $25. On its work shirts, reach gussets add underarm panels for genuine range of motion. Most important, Duluth separates the two bodies correctly. Big sizing adds width through the chest and midsection. Tall sizing adds length to the sleeves, the torso, the rise, and the inseam, separately, as they should be. That's not a scaled-up block. That's 2 different patterns for 2 different men. Read that once more, because it is the single sentence the entire industry has refused to learn. A tall man and a big man are not the same customer. They never were. Duluth is one of the very few that behaves like it knows, and it charges ordinary workwear prices while doing it. No captive market premium, no size tax dressed up as specialty service. The man who reads the fabric weight buys here and stops guessing. Next, the brand that proves the entire thesis. Second, American Tall. Here's the spec that shows what engineering actually looks like. They call it proportional engineering, and it's the opposite of blowing up a block. This is the Tall Specialist, built for men 6 foot to 7 foot 1. Look at what they actually adjust. Extended body length so the shirt stays tucked instead of climbing out when you move. A tailored chest and a tapered waist. So a tall man isn't swimming in a barrel of extra fabric just to get the length he needs. Armholes proportioned to a taller frame so nothing gapes. Sleeves engineered to still reach your wrist after washing, not before, after, because they accounted for the shrink. And real inseam ranges running well past where standard retail stops. That is a brand that understood a tall man is a specific shape, not a big man with the volume turned up. Every one of those adjustments is a decision somebody made on purpose, on paper, before a single garment was cut. That's what engineering means. Everything else on this list just made the tent bigger. It runs mid-priced, and here's the hidden savings. It removes the tailoring bill entirely. The tall man's old routine was buy too big, then pay a tailor to hack it down, and pay again on the next shirt, and the next forever. $20 here, $40 there. A lifetime of alterations, subsidizing patterns that were never drawn for him. This skips both. The size was never the problem. The pattern was, and American Tall drew the right one. One value pick left. Third, Land's End, big and tall. Here's the comparison that makes this the value play. Against the captive market size tax, Lengthens End offers genuine proportioned big and tall sizing. Real XLT, 2XLT, proper big cuts, and proper tall cuts. Not a scaled up block at honest mid-range pricing with frequent sales that put quality basics well under what the specialty aisle charges. It's American heritage, and its core cotton goods have a long reputation for washing well and holding their shape for years. The shirts stay square through the shoulders. The chinos keep their color. It is not luxury, and it never claimed to be. It's the honest middle, which is precisely what this aisle has been missing. I chose Lengthens End here over the Warehouse Club option deliberately, and I'll tell you why plainly. Warehouse big and tall tends to get wider but not taller, with almost no true tall sizing, which fails half the men watching this. Lengthens End actually serves both bodies with proportioned patterns. The big man and the tall man each get a cut drawn for him, not a compromise between them. That distinction is the whole video, and it costs less here than the specialty aisle charges to get it wrong. One honest caveat, because I won't oversell it. Some recent reviews flag inconsistency, thinner fabric on certain items, so shop the core cotton lines and read the weight. But for a man who wants real proportioned fit at a fair price without the specialty store premium, this is the accessible answer. Buy the core cotton shirts and chinos on sale. Get the proportions right, and you've beaten the size tax with a name your father probably ordered from a catalog. The man who reads the pattern and the price buys the basics here and keeps his money. The size was never the problem. The pattern was. So here's the whole thing, plainly. Read the pattern, not the size tag. Check where the shoulder seam sits, whether the torso is long enough to stay tucked, whether the fabric weight holds at your size, and who actually owns the label you're standing in front of. The number on the tag never once told you whether the garment was built for your body. And for 30 years, an aisle that knew you had nowhere else to go made sure you never asked. You weren't hard to fit. You were easy to overcharge. Not anymore. I'm Bill. I read the pattern, not the size tag. And the guide so many of you asked for is finally here. Build a $2,000 wardrobe for $200. Every rule from this channel in one place, linked below. If this one hit home, watch the men's clothing brands robbing you blind. 370,000 views. And the clothing built to last a lifetime, 199,000 views. The same read the garment method for your whole wardrobe. Subscribe. This channel reads the build, not the marketing.